You ever been really good at something, like you're already winning, but deep down you know it's not where you're supposed to stay? Most people never walk away from comfort, but a few do, and that's where confidence is born. My guest today is Lillian Paris. She went from cutting hair and managing a salon to building a six-figure insurance business before 25. Now she's on track to open her own agency next year, and she's doing it with the same hunger that got her here in the first place. We're not talking about insurance today. We're talking about belief and about what it takes to start over, face the unknown, and bet on yourself when outcomes are uncertain. This is the Undeniable Podcast. Let's get into it. So, Lily, how are you? I know that we kind of go back. We've got some common interests, like with master networks and stuff like that. And I just kind of wanted you to come on. You've done some really, really brave stuff, first and foremost. And I would be lying if I hadn't said that I'm just thoroughly impressed, right? And I obviously work in the insurance space, though we're not going to be talking a lot about insurance today. It is really interesting when you told me your story. And so just for our listeners, I want you to take a minute and just kind of tell me sort of the journey between the hair thing and into what you're doing now.
Absolutely. So I had always been interested in doing hair. And when COVID happened and everything was kind of up in the air, I was just really ready to start working. I'm a people person, so being stuck in the house really wasn't for me. And cosmetology schools had just opened back up, so I was ready to go kickstart my career. And I quickly learned that I really liked doing men's hair. It was more precise than color was unpredictable with women's hair. And I started
There's a lot more that's unpredictable about that.
Yeah. Oh, yes, definitely. It was, and women are picky. And so men were really easygoing with their hair, for the most part. And so I started working at Sport Clips. I knew that they had a really high clientele. I could really get my feet wet and really start getting to cut some guys' hair. And I fell in love with the company. The owners, first of all, were just so amazing, and they were very supportive and cared about their employees, which I think made a really big difference for me. And through all of the training, I really just fell in love with my clients. I was really close to a neighborhood where I had a lot of like retired people that would come in and they just wanted somebody to talk to. And so they would come in on their Monday morning and they would just tell me all about their lives. And really my favorite part was building those relationships. As things went on, we were pretty short staffed for a while. So I was working 6 days, sometimes 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. But I mean, I was young and I had energy. And so I was all for it. I was ready to make all the money that I could working full time. And then I got promoted to be an assistant manager, enjoyed doing that. And I saw a lot of things that I wanted to do for the store. So I saw different potential of things that I could do even if I was manager. And then the manager got promoted. So then I got to take her place as manager and got to run a group of girls, which was fun. It definitely had its moments.
So were they all your age? Were some of them older than you?
Actually, I for a while was the youngest one.
I bet that was tough.
That was, but I do feel like I earned a lot of their respect before I was manager. So they saw how hard I worked. And then when I became manager, they respected that. But it still was hard, especially when I had people coming in for interviews that didn't know me or didn't know my hustle. They would kind of be like, you're the one interviewing me. You're in your 20s. Like you look like a baby and you're interviewing me. I've been in the industry for 15 years. And then even training people who have been in the hair industry for 10, 20 years. And they're like, you're like 2 years into the hair industry and you're telling me how to cut hair. It does have its hurdles. But a lot of it comes with relationships and earning that respect for them. And really, I just loved watching them grow and teaching them and, just growing the store in general. I really fell in love with, marketing and the business side of things, where I almost had this thought of, oh, I kind of like business and marketing more than I like cutting hair.
Right. You enjoyed that part of it more than,
yes.
That's cool. Yeah.
And I didn't ever think that I would be in business. I originally started my major out in elementary education. Business was never really something that I had thought about ever really doing. But just seeing the numbers of the store grow and trying to get the numbers of the store to grow, and really seeing the stylists grow, doing games for them, running meetings, doing the background like leadership things. Sport Clips had great training for leaders. They had leadership training. We had a national huddle where we did specific, like in-depth leadership training. And I really was like, okay, I like this side of things. I really want to go into sales. I knew I wanted to do something with people, with numbers. And so then I just started thinking about what that could be. And there was a billion categories of sales.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like if you're looking for a job, those are the jobs that are out there, right?
Oh, yes. And I had never even made a LinkedIn account before. And I didn't really have much of a resume. It was just hairstylist. And I just started looking for jobs. I did decide to finish my degree before I did that, because I knew that would open up quite a few more doors for me. And I did want to, really, I loved my clients. So it was hard for me to make the jump ship for that. So I finished my degree while I was working. And then once I finished that, I started looking for a new job. And like I said, there's a lot of categories. And so it was hard to decide if I should go into pharmaceutical sales, automotive sales. There was so many things.
And there's a lot that have a lot of success tracks there too. Like pharmaceutical sales is a great idea. You know what I mean? Like I absolutely understand where you're coming from. Yeah.
Yes. And so I actually got a message on LinkedIn from a recruiter from Goosehead Insurance. And it was like, are you interested in this position? And at that point I was open to talking to anybody. I'm like, my horizons are open. I will hear anything. And after talking to her, I was like, oh, I never would have thought of insurance. That sounds kind of boring, but I really liked the idea that it was something that I could grow in and really make into a career. One of the things that I feel like just kind of hindered me at Sport Clips is I felt like there wasn't somewhere for me to go like and keep going up unless I bought my own store, but that really wasn't something that I had wanted to do at the time.
Okay.
So I was looking for a career that I could really grow in. And some sales, you sell one thing and then it goes away. I was like, insurance is something that's not going away. It's recession friendly. And it was something that Goosehead had to offer was you could open your own agency. You could go into management, leadership, and go up. There was potential for growth long term, which is what I really, really liked about Goosehead. And then another thing I really liked about it is that it was a brokerage. So I felt like I was working more for the clients instead of just for State Farm or for one specific company.
As a captive agent. Yeah,
exactly.
As a captive agent, like with State Farm, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because then you feel kind of beholden to the one company.
Exactly.
As opposed to beholden to your client.
Yes.
Yeah, I get that.
So I really liked that I felt like I was more working for the client than just selling something. And as I got into it, I realized there was this huge disconnect between what people actually knew was on their insurance. And that's when I really got more passionate about it. And I didn't know anything about insurance at all. And so it was kind of scary just jumping from being a hairstylist to being an insurance broker, which when I told all of my clients, you could imagine the looks they gave me. Insurance? You're going into insurance from being a hairstylist? Like they were confused because it's not the normal
and
path.
It just sounds so boring. That's the thing. And and like being an insurance myself, and I'm a licensed insurance agent. Obviously, I'm an adjuster. I do all of that. And I built a career in insurance, right? And I can tell you, if you sit and talk about it with somebody, it is boring. Right. But you get into the drama that actually exists inside of the industry and how things are happening. It opens up so much of what, and it's not boring. It really is not. But it looks that way. And I completely get that. And everybody's like going, why? It seems like you're almost like selling out. Like you could do so much more, like go be a rock star or something like that, and it's like, well, that's not, I love that. That's kind of how you're explaining it. So, I mean, what was it like that first week? Like you've done it, you've taken the plunge, and that's scary. Walking into the unknown. What was like day one like? Was it just, you get the job, you're excited, you're sharing it with your family and friends, and it's this uncharted territory.
Yeah. Well,
right?
Before even the first day, I had to take the insurance exam, and that was a whole thing on its own.
Yeah, with no idea, right?
Yeah.
Like you haven't even really owned it or gone through a claim as much, because it probably would have been your parents that would have handled it up until then.
I'm like, I think I have car insurance. I pay my parents $100 a month for it, but they say I'm covered, so I've definitely used it when I wrecked my car when I was 16, so I know I have it. But they told me, okay, here's your job offer. It's contingent on you passing the insurance exam. And so they provided me the resources of study materials. But I'm not a big reader. Like, I'm an in-person learner. And so I actually found a YouTube channel that had a lot of resources for taking the test.
Exactly the same way. I cannot read. I mean, like
I'll fall asleep.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can read. I can read. So it's hard for me to focus on it when I'm reading it. I can hear myself saying the words, but it doesn't come. Yeah, it's not processing.
Yeah, absolutely. So really watching those videos helped, because I was still working full time. This was actually during the week of Christmas when I was studying for the test. I had to pass it by like the first week of January to get hired for this job. And so I really, like I said, I watched hours and hours and hours of videos. I went in, I passed it. So got that off my back. And then I was like, okay, now I have to go in to the job. And
did the test surprise you at all? Was it easier? Was it harder? Did you build it up in your head? What was it like for you kind of going in there with no situational awareness?
Yeah, I heard that it was really hard from many people. And, I talked, of course, to my clients. I was cutting their hair, and some people knew different things about insurance, and they're like, oh yeah, my aunt took the test and she failed. And, they'll tell me all the things. And, I was prepared for it to be hard. And so I think I overstudied. It was easier than I thought it would be, but it was
but
almost
it's not easy.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. Yeah.
It was not easy. It was basically what I had expected, that it was going to be like hard, but like I was well prepared enough for it.
Yeah.
But I did, just in case, if you fail your test, you get to take it the next day. It has to be like 24 hours in between. And so I scheduled myself off. I took it on, I think it was a Tuesday. I scheduled myself off Wednesday and Thursday. And then I scheduled like a late shift for myself on Friday in case I failed it every single day. I could retake it over and over again.
Yeah.
But then I just had some days off after, because I did it the first time. But I was ready to like have to retake it. And there's plenty of people too.
Look, you weren't planning to fail it, but you had a contingency plan sort of in place. And that kind of speaks to your acumen at large, right? You're prepared. And I mean, and not just prepared to succeed. Everybody's prepared to succeed, right? But nobody...
I was prepared to fail too.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's a way, like if this happens to me, and I'm telling you, that contingency is critical. Like,
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're not thinking down the roads of what happens if this doesn't all work out, right? And sometimes I can perseverate on contingencies like you wouldn't know. Like that is probably one of my downfalls.
Really?
And I call it paralysis by analysis,
I was just talking about that with someone, paralysis analysis, right? Analyze something too much. And I'm like, okay, just need to step away.
Right. And look, I mean, many hours with a therapist trying to work through that, ruminating on different ideas and the bad things that could happen and trying to have plans for that. And I can only imagine it's interesting because even like in school when we're learning different histories, you know what I mean? I'm thinking people like the explorers. I don't know if you remember that, like from grade school,
like Christopher Columbus
and Magellan. And it's like, yeah. So I'm gonna go that way, and I don't really know what is that way. As far as we know, it could be the edge of the earth, and I sail off into the unknown. Right? Mm-hmm. They had no clue, but they went and did it anyway. And I think that's what was so amazing when I kind of heard your story, is that you moved into it, and it's just sort of like, and I've done that in my life, which is sort of, I guess sort of the affinity, I guess you want to say, that I had when you and I first met. And so just to be clear for our audience, Lily and I are in a group called Master Networks together. And there was this chapter that was forming that we're still in together. And she just got vice president. So round of applause. Yes, there she goes. She is the new vice president of our chapter. We're very happy about that.
Thank you.
Not to get down that road too much, but I was very interested in your journey. And as I have watched you over the past year or so or whatever, I just keep getting these updates of you just crushing it.
Thank you.
Right? You know what I'm saying? And so that first month you had to, it's not just learning the rules about insurance, right? Because the test teaches you sort of what the statutes, the timelines, the cans,
the legal
side, the ethics, all of that stuff gets laid out for you, and that's the stuff they want to make sure you know. But when you take that test, you literally know nothing about the business. There is nothing about the business that you know or understand. Yeah. And I recently took that test I guess a year or two ago, I took it. Yeah, that's when because I'd had my agent's license, then I went back and took it again because I was just using it. Because if you had any idea as a claims professional how many times I get asked who the best insurance company is, like it's crazy.
I'm sure all the time.
All of the time. And they're always mad at the ones that they have. And I just have the same answer for everybody. They all suck.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just have different things that they suck about. That's really, but they're so needed. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't mean to be over pejorative to the entire industry or whatever, because it is absolutely needed, because it allows us to own the stuff that we would not otherwise be able to
own.
Right. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a plan if my house burns down if I don't have insurance. That means I wouldn't be able to afford to own that home, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's for a future you can't predict, right? And so what was that like? Sort of like, okay, so you went through the training. So what was your product training like? How did that sort of dovetail into what you were having to do? What was that sort of like for you?
Absolutely. So when we started, the first week was really just intro to the office. You didn't start full training until your second week. So the first week I just shadowed people basically. It was kind of boring, but looking back, it was good because I was like sitting there. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Everybody's just working around me. I haven't had training. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. So I was just watching other people work.
Terrible. That is awful.
I was watching other people work and they would be like, and then we send the binder. And I'm like, what's a binder? And then, and we went on some visits, met some referral partners. It was more so like, just like slowly like getting used to the office. And then second week we started training and it was all virtual. And I was on a Zoom call from like 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. every single day. Yeah. It was a little brutal, but it was information that was needed, basically teaching all of the systems. And then, of course, going through a lot of it was practice, like role-playing practice of like, these are the questions you need to ask, practice asking those questions. And then these are how you run the quotes. These are the different carriers. But I mean, it would take months and months to go through a full in-depth survey. You really just kind of have to jump in and start learning. But it was a good basis to, once I finished training, they have a session per week that was continual training that you do. I believe it's 12 weeks total from when you start, and then you're officially out of training.
So just to be clear, if it's a 12-week training, when did you complete training?
I started January 27th and training started basically February 1st.
February, okay.
So, 4 weeks of February, March, April. I'm bad at math. 12 is 4 times 3, so 3 months. So February, March, April, like end of April.
End of April is when you kicked off.
Well, so we had.
What are you doing in those? I know you're training, but are you responsible for sales at that point?
Yes. So after 2 weeks, you're then responsible for sales. So 2 weeks of 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. training. And then the rest of the weeks, it's just one training per week. And it's like an hour. So you're basically on the floor after 2 weeks.
Okay. But there's still a lot of training that you're having to do.
Yes.
And then you're trying to balance sales and all of that kind of stuff, working for the company that you work for. And I know that they gave you, because we talked, I know that you had a little bit of room and there was some grace in there for you to underperform, but that's not what happened to you. You didn't underperform, did you?
No.
That never happened to you. And so what I want to know is I want you to talk a little bit about the mindset that you had, knowing that you had no knowledge, right? Or, other than the training, and I don't want to downplay the training that they gave you, but it's really, how do you sit in front of grown, like people that have owned insurance, have dealt with insurance, possibly even sold insurance, because at some point in time, if they're a salesman, they've explored the insurance market, right? Because it's sales that comes with the salary a lot of times. And so everybody goes and explores that from a sales perspective, if that's what they want to do. But people that, what was it like when you ran into somebody that you felt like maybe knew more than you did?
Everybody basically knew more than I did, and I wasn't afraid of that. And I feel like some people go in.
Why were you not afraid of that? That's what I want to drill down on. What did you draw from to not let that intimidate you?
I wanted their knowledge. And I think I was humble enough to say that I needed it.
That is the greatest answer. I think that's the answer. That's the answer right there. You wanted their knowledge. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And everybody knew more than I did. And I wasn't afraid to admit that to people. And I think some people go into it and they want everyone to think that they already know everything. But I'm like, hey, I can admit I don't know everything. I want to learn everything, but I'm not there yet. But basically my biggest goal going in, and still just, it's part of my being, is relationships. And that's what I did at Sport Clips with my clients. And that's what I'm doing now with my referral partners, with my clients still as well, and my coworkers and my manager, is relationships. They all know and trust me because they see that I'm living with integrity and honesty, and I'm looking out for the best of them. And if I say, hey, I don't know the answer to that, they're not scared by that because I've built a relationship with them. Right.
Well, I don't know everything there is to know about insurance.
Absolutely.
And I've been in it for 2.5 decades, right? Yeah, sure, there were some breaks and pauses in there, but it was always something that, even as somebody that has been in the industry as long as I have, I realized real quick, the longer that I'm in it, it feels like the less I know. You know what I'm saying? Because it gets so expansive and how the business works inside of it. So, it's great that you're not afraid to say, I don't know, but I can go find out. That's sales training 101, right? That's not anything new. And I'm sure that they pounded that into your head, that you're going to have a hard time. People are going to ask you questions you don't understand. And did you ever have, in that process, I think one of the smart things that it looks like that you've done, right, is you focused more so, not so much on the product knowledge as much as you did on the personal knowledge, right? You wanted to get to know them and what they needed so that you could curate what it was that you could help them with. Like you wanted to pull together. You do all sorts of little things. And first of all, you're very active on social media, right?
I try.
And how much has that helped you?
It has helped a great bit because, when you either call somebody or meet somebody, they don't really know as much about you. But then if you go follow them on social media, they get to see a glimpse of your personality. So I think that helps substantially, as well as in the industry that I'm in. A lot of realtors, which is a lot of people that I work with, are on social media. That's where they're marketing to their clients. So I'm able to connect with them that way as well. And then just education. I know insurance is boring, so I try not to do too much, just education on insurance, but it is important. And there are parts of insurance, like I said, when I got in, that people just do not know about. And so I try to throw in some of those bits of education so that people can see that as well.
Right. A lot of people, for example, I have to explain to people all the time in like $1 million homes how the deductible works. Right. And I'm not going to get into that here. It's understanding, because when it all comes down to it, if they have a claim and they get their check, it's minus their deductible. So they believe that they've paid their deductible.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They believe that they've already, well, no, the insurance kept it. So the insurance has my deduct. Like, no. And so I go into explaining that a lot of times. And and then have you ever had any, in the short time that you've been there, really and truly, have you had anybody that's had a claim?
Yes.
So actually, what is that? What was that conversation like?
Actually, pretty recently, there was a hailstorm in Anna, Texas. I actually had a realtor who lives there who sent me a video of the hail outside of her house. And I was like, oh my goodness. That was pretty bad. So I went and I searched all my clients that lived in Anna, Texas, and I texted all of them and was like, hey, I heard there was a storm in Anna. Just wanted to check in, see how you guys were doing. And actually, 3 of them were like, we need to make claims.
I've never had an insurance agent call me when I was in the area of a storm. Never,
really?
ever. That has never happened to me. And I have never heard of an agent doing that in my circle. Like,
really?
And you would think,
yeah,
I've worked thousands upon thousands of claims.
Wow.
And never once has anybody walked up to me and said, no, my insurance agent let me know that I need to look into it. Not one time.
Wow.
You're the only person I've ever heard do. Now, I'm not saying that it isn't done, and commend all of the agents out there that do that, that actually reach out to their clients because they're concerned about them. I think that that's brilliant. Why did you do that?
Because I care about people. I mean,
that inclination, that's an inherent inclination that you did that. Goosehead didn't train you to do that, right? So where do you think you picked that up? Is that a parental thing? Is that how you were raised? That's kind of what I'm trying to dive into here.
Yeah, I think absolutely how I was raised. I grew up in church and really was instilled in the values of love your neighbor and, the fruits of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. I really try to just stand by those. And, I just really love people. And I've noticed throughout my life, a lot of people are not happy. And if you can put a little bit of happiness in them, like that just makes me happy. And
I want you to know, I just want to stop here for a second and say you rattled the fruits of the Spirit off like it was absolutely nothing. And I need y'all to know that my parents growing up were pastors, and I had a drug problem because I was drugged to church every time the doors opened. First one in, last one out. And I don't think I could do that. It's just, I think I could get there, but you rattled them off because they were in this order. And so clearly this is something that was in you, you know?
Yeah,
right.
Definitely instilled in me. And I know some people have negative experiences from that, but mine was very positive. And I think what really changed my perspective from a young age was me and my dad went on a mission trip when I was 10 years old. So I was still a baby. And we went on a mission trip to Guatemala and we worked in an orphanage there called Agua Viva. And the kids in the orphanage were the same age as me, sometimes older, some younger. But we were serving these kids and doing VBS with them. And they were happier than the kids that were in my 5th grade class. And that really opened up my eyes to how blessed I was for the things that I did have, and seeing them not have anything and be so happy that it just put things into perspective to me where, now I'm just very grateful for everything that I do have and just want to spread that joy to other people.
Well, it certainly shows, because I just want you just real quick and because I want to keep this kind of rather close and tight here, but there's a lot of things that I noticed that you even put out on social media, like you do like little handwritten notes and you do all of these things, and I think between your networking, you show up once a week at a networking group, you're serving in in a leadership capacity in that. You stepped into a completely unknown industry, completely foreign industry to you, with a lot of technicalities, a lot of twists and turns. You rose to management in essentially your first real job, first adult job. You rose to management. You were raised in church. All of these things kind of began to piece together for you. And I think the message here is that there's no one trick pony.
No.
Right?
Not
There's
at
not.
all.
And it's this amalgamation of everything that we do. and just between the networking, the social media, the handwritten notes, the care when you talk to them face to face, it's putting all of that together that makes it work, right? And so what sort of advice would you give somebody that is stepping into that unknown area? Do they need to have an understanding of what they're good at, those kinds of things? And kind of tell me like what you would say to that person, even somebody your age. I mean, because folks, she's not even 25 yet. And I haven't got to the big reveal, because the big reveal that was in my intro is really interesting. So I want to point out, she was in training till April. She had an annual goal that she would have met by the end of Q3, except for some unfortunate weirdness that happened. And you can tell that story if you want to. I don't mind if you tell that story, but really the idea is that you had completed your annual goal essentially from April until September.
Yes.
You did a year's worth of sales. What was, from the start of training to the end of training, how did you do? Were you pacing above what they wanted, or were you behind? Were you kind of where they thought you'd be?
I actually did better in my first month than I did in my second and third month, but that was because of my network of clients from Sport Clips.
Yeah, so you had a sphere of influence that did really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Before I left Sport Clips, all of my clients, I said, if you want to stay my client, you can buy insurance from me. And that worked pretty well.
Right.
So, and then my second and third month, I basically had gotten through all my family and friends. So then I went to going to start networking and meeting new people that way.
Well, and what did you think about the networking just in general?
I loved it.
Did you?
I did. And really, I got connected to Master Networks from my relationship from Sport Clips. Kel was one of my clients at Sport Clips for about 2 years. And then when I switched to insurance, he's like, come to this networking group. And so it was from that relationship at the beginning that I got connected into Master Networks. Uh-huh. And I'm a people person, so it just works out perfect for me to go and be around people.
Well, yeah, you came in like you owned the place, right? You know what I'm saying? Like it was like she was a member for 1 week, and then all of a sudden it was like Lily's here, and like literally, like people applaud when she walks in the room.
It's not true.
That is just
not true.
It's kind of true. Well, in my head, I applaud. So what are some of your daily habits to kind of keep the walls from closing in on you?
I think I learned a while ago that you have to fill up your own cup before you can fill up others' cups. Yeah. And so doing things that I enjoy, I'm passionate about, that fill up my cup are really important. Even if business is super busy and I need to get a lot of work done, I still need to take care of myself. So I try to make it a priority to do things that I love. So that can be different for everyone. But for me, I really like working out and doing Pilates or bar classes in the morning. It gets me feeling energized and pumped up for the day. So I enjoy doing that. I also really like doing crafts. And so I actually incorporated that into my business, which that would be an advice I would give. Find something you're passionate about and put it into your business in any way that you can.
Right. I think that is exactly like one of the things I'm passionate about is teaching. I just, for whatever reason, I love to teach. I love to train. Those are things that I mean, that is sort of my fun thing to go do. It is just not work for me, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe it's because I think I'm a know-it-all. I don't have any idea, but I think incorporating that into sort of the things that you're passionate about into what it is that you do, I think is what makes us feel genuine in a place. And we rely on our strengths and our giftings to move into those. And what is it that you think is, if you could pick one thing, sort of, I know that there's a lot, right? What do you believe is the thing that keeps you grounded?
This is a hard one.
It is. Yeah.
If I had to choose one thing to keep me grounded, I mean, I would say it's my circle,
your community,
my family, my boyfriend, my best friends. They are my support. I wouldn't be able to do a lot of things without them. My boyfriend, I probably wouldn't have even gotten into this career if it weren't for him being like, hey, you're capable of a lot of things. I see that in you and you can go do it. And, you know, my parents, like my mom, I call her all the time when I have like emotional of like, I don't know what I'm doing. And she's always my cheerleader. My best friends, you know, those people, like I wouldn't be able to do half of the things I do without my circle.
Wow. I mean, that's, you know what? It's kind of funny. I didn't know that we had that in common,
Really?
but that's what's so important to me. So you would, I mean, are you like, would you definitely consider yourself an extrovert?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously that's what I would have labeled you as. I just wanted to kind of see what you sort of thought about it. So look, kind of what I was saying earlier is not everything is easy, right? I know that there's I think the trick is to make it look easy and effortless, right?
Yes.
What do you believe was probably one of the biggest mistakes that you took something away? Not necessarily like I learned the lesson that I'm never going to do that again kind of thing, but what is it that you really felt like made you a better person? Because one of the things that I believe is every time we fall down, when we get back up, we're 2 steps further than we were. So falling down is part of the journey. That's part of getting good at whatever you're good at. I mean,
Absolutely.
you know, there is no success without failure, because success without failure is just something that happened. Right. Yeah. So I think failure is a key element, you know. So what is one of the things where you feel like was a huge mistake, you thought you weren't going to recover from it, that really kind of impacted your life? And it doesn't have to be
in insurance.
Not in general. It could have been anything. It could have been from when you were 9. You know what I'm saying? That sort of just penetrated
mistake.
Yeah, a mistake, an error, sort of like maybe it wasn't anything that you did that was maybe it was all in good intentions. Like, so, oh my gosh, I just never saw the sideways part of this thing going that way.
You know, at the time thought it was a mistake or that I was a failure. Looking back, I now see how everything worked together for good and I learned so much from it. But dropping out of college, I really was like, man, I was supposed to graduate high school and then I was supposed to go to college and graduate college and then start working. Now what? I really felt like a failure from that. But like I said, everything worked out the way it was supposed to.
Well, okay, so maybe it did, maybe it didn't. One of the things that I would like to point out here is the reason it worked out is because you didn't let it beat you.
That's true.
There's a lot of people that just pull the dirt over on top of them. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I honestly believe that has more to do with your composition rather than, you know, maybe even God looking out for you in some kind of way and it working together, you know, all of these mistakes woven into the tapestry of our life. All of that matters, right? And I'm not trying to diminish that, but there's a lot of people that fall and fail the first time, pull the dirt over on top of them, and they go, that just wasn't for me. Well, I mean, just because you encounter adversity, I think that's really kind of what I'm hearing is that you just have a high adversity quotient, right? Is that, you know, a lot of perseverance, a lot of tenacity to not let that thing win against you.
Yes. Not without help though.
Well,
I will say actually this might go more towards it. I did go through 8 weeks of intensive outpatient therapy.
Okay.
And that shaped a lot of my beliefs, how my brain thinks and how my mind works is through those different skills that I didn't have on my own. And so that program, I did group therapy sessions, individual therapy sessions, and really just learned about myself and how to think properly and like reassure myself almost and ground myself in different situations. And that is how I think I got to that point. It wasn't without that. And it wasn't without my circle as well. It wasn't on my own just being resilient. It was through that helps me get there, if that makes sense.
It does. The big reveal here that I alluded to in my intro is that you are looking at going into agency.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I want to be clear here. You could just stay where you're at and have a very successful career. And, you know, you don't have to do this. This is a choice and a decision. It's not like they handpicked you and said, hey, we want you to go into agency. This is a decision that you've made to depart from the safety net and go out on your own, which it's an entrepreneurial move. Correct?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
So you're thinking about going into agency, what were those conversations like, especially just 7 to 8 months into this thing? Like, boom, I'm pulling the ripcord, yo, let's get it done. And I just think that, like, I'm excited for you. Like,
Yes.
it would break my heart to hear that you decided to not do it. Even if you do, it's okay, but it's not my heart that's at stake here. So tell me kind of what makes you think you're ready to do that.
Well, I'm definitely not ready right now. Definitely in time. I definitely have specific goals that I set for myself that I want to hit before I take that leap. Because there's a difference between taking a leap that's smart and then taking one that isn't. Because I definitely do see myself doing that. And I really, really do want to open my own agency and it be called the Paris Agency and have a team and have it's perfect. It's just meant to be. And so I am very, very excited about that. And I see it because I see how much success I've had now. But like I said, I want to be smart about it, which is why I set specific goals for myself before I take that leap, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And so, I mean, do you mind kind of sharing, like,
absolutely.
Are you on track? How are things looking with those goals?
Absolutely. I mean, the goals that I set was to average $20,000 a month in new business revenue, which is about 13 to 16% of the premium that you would sell.
So to be clear, those are commission dollars. That's not, those are actual commission dollars
that come in. That's not the policy premium. That's not
the right. It's the commission dollars that come in off of that.
Yes, absolutely. And so my goal is to be averaging that for 6 months before I open my own agency, and then as well as have a substantial amount of funds in my savings account. I mean, I would have to pay the $25,000 agency fee up front, and then of course invest a lot into my business. However, I think I am getting there. I haven't hit 20K yet, so I'm definitely not averaging it yet, but I've gotten to 15 and I'm pacing 20 this month so far. So
what are your monthly goals from your brokerage? What are they asking you to do versus what you're actually doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So the month that I hit 15,000, my goal was 5. And
just let that breathe a minute.
Last month my goal was 8 and I did about 11.
Okay.
This month my goal is 9. It goes up. You're on a ramp up schedule.
Right. Yeah, they ramp you up. Sure.
My goal is 9. I'm at 7 and it's the 10th.
10th, yeah.
So pacing to go well over it again.
Is there a market sort of that you are feeling more comfortable in, whether it's homeowners, autos? I know that's kind of usually sold together. Yeah, it's sold together, but there's a lot of different property and casualty policies out there that you may sell. Is there any other area that you feel like, I know what's most prevalent. Is there another area that you're kind of passionate about?
Absolutely. I actually have been selling quite a few policies for fix and flips. So builder's risk policies. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I actually have had quite a few of those, which I really do enjoy because I hear somebody's passion about their vision for this home, how they're going to change it from one thing and remodel it to another thing. So I love hearing their ideas that they have for the home because I see the pictures on Zillow and I'm like, ooh, good luck. And then I get to see the aftermath of once they're done. And I'm like, oh, you did that. That's amazing. And so those have been really fun to do as well. But of course, I love a good home and auto. But yeah, investors has been kind of a fun niche to get into as well.
Probably nothing you saw coming. It just happened to present itself. Yeah. Was that just based off of the relationship that you had with realtors? Because you had mentioned earlier you network a lot with realtors.
Yes, I do network a lot with realtors. I met this realtor who was an investor who worked for a wholesale company where they basically just do investment properties and they sell those to people to do fix and flips. That was like what their whole company was. I went into their office and did a presentation, met people. And so I have a couple relationships there that send me business for those types of policies. And then I have another realtor who actually does fix and flips herself. And she actually brought me in to go see the one that she did and introduced me to some other people. So just through all the relationships.
Okay. So what I want to do now, I'm going to get into one kind of last question about kind of where you are right now. Is there a marketing idea that you're like, I'd really like to do this, and you're kind of, stirring around in your head? And I don't want you to let any cats out of any bags here, because you may be kind of playing things close to the vest, but is there any marketing idea that you think that that you'd like to launch?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've kind of already started it. So like I said, what I'm passionate about is like one of the things I like to do is crafts. And so I've started to really tie that into my business, and it's kind of started to take off a little bit with realtors. I found a lot of them also like doing crafts, and some of them like doing crafts but don't know how to do them or want to make crafts for their clients. People like personalized things. So if they can make things that have their client's name on them, or, a handmade like cutting board for their client, it can incorporate into their like business. And doing drop buys, that's one of the things that realtors also like to do. So I'm starting in November doing a monthly craft event for realtors, where every month, like for December, we're going to do making ornaments for all their previous clients for that year. And so then it's an activity we get to do together, get to know each other better. I'm providing a resource that's helpful for them, and just grow it from there and have more people come and make some crafts together.
All the years that I was like in, kindergarten, elementary school, even now, I don't do crafts, right? Because when I was a kid, and glue was involved, I mean, there were hostages taken over that thing because I had glue everywhere. It's just an absolute mess. And it is not my thing. The things that require the fine motor skills and make it look pretty and all that kind of stuff, it was always such a struggle for me, and I think that is so cool to have somebody come in, because it's probably not as hard as I make it. You know what I'm saying? Like I want something to look like it could be packaged and sold on the shelf, right?
Yeah.
And so some of the imperfection of some of these crafts, right? The handmade quality to it. You know what I mean? You can tell. And one of the things that I buy for my wife every year at Christmas, she's a Kansas City Chiefs fan.
Oh,
so I buy her an ornament, a Kansas City Chiefs ornament every year to hang on the Christmas tree, even though we don't really have a Christmas tree very often because we're empty nesters, and we don't do a lot in our house.
Christmas tree, Jeremy.
You still have to have. Well, I understand that. We do Christmas lights on the outside, so when you drive by my house, you think we're people. So
just don't go inside during Christmas.
Right. So what I want to close out with, this has just been such a great conversation, and I think you have brought so much to it for the audience, and just how to strike out into the unknown. I want to get people to kind of maybe know you a little bit, so I'm going to do this really fun rapid fire kind of thing and see.
Okay.
So it's kind of like the first thing that comes to your mind. Just kind of it's like. What's your favorite band?
The Killers.
The Killers.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you're going all the way. Okay. Fair enough.
That was the first one that popped into my head.
The Killers is the first one that popped into your head. Okay. All right. Mr. Brightside. I like it. So what's your favorite movie?
The Notebook.
The Notebook is your favorite movie.
It's a good one. I stand by that.
You stand by The Notebook.
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough. Let me see. I say it's rapid fire. I should have had a list of these ready to go, shouldn't I? It's medium paced fire. There we go. It's friendly fire. There we go.
I'll take
there
the
we
friendly.
go. There we go. What's your favorite hobby? What do you like to do when you're not working, just hanging out with friends? What do you like to go do?
Crafts and playing piano.
Crafts. Oh, okay. That's right. You played the piano. You actually taught kids for a little while, right?
I still teach piano lessons.
You still teach piano lessons. Wow.
Yes.
How long have you been playing?
Since I was 5. I started taking, and then I really got passionate about it and liked writing my own music, and just it was a good stress reliever. Like it was something to if I just sat down and played, everything else in the world disappeared. I started teaching my senior year of high school, and then I got really passionate about teaching because I got to see these kids grow and play their music at the recitals. And now one of the students that I started teaching when he was in 4th grade, he's now a junior in high school, which makes me feel old, but it's been so sweet to see them grow up. I couldn't give it up.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, guys, that's all the time we have for today with Lily. It has been so awesome hanging out with you. Thank you so much for coming on the Undeniable podcast. I'm I'm always interested to learn more about you. I look forward to working with you more. And that's going to do it for us on this episode, the first episode of the Undeniable Podcast. And guys, I just want to remind you, own your own story or somebody else will.